When two people are actually meant to be in each other's lives, there's a pattern that shows up over and over. It doesn't matter how separate their worlds are or how surprising their meeting felt. This one thing almost always emerges first. Most of us grow up imagining that destiny feels soft and easy from the beginning. We picture it as effortless connection, instant peace, and that magical moment where everything clicks into place like it was always supposed to happen. We imagine two souls crossing paths, recognizing each other, and just knowing without any doubt that this is the person we've been searching for all our lives. But when you actually watch how real connections unfold, it rarely works that way. Real destiny doesn't arrive gently. It shows up quietly, and then it disrupts everything. When you're genuinely connected to someone by fate, the universe doesn't speed things up. It does the opposite. It creates separation. It pulls the two of you in different directions. It forces you both to question things you never thought to question. It breaks down the illusions you didn't even realize you were trapped inside. And here's what's important to understand. This isn't the universe being cruel. It's preparing you. Before two people who are truly meant for each other can actually be together, they have to go through changes. Deep, difficult changes. The reason this happens is because most of us completely misunderstand what destined love actually is. We think it shows up as immediate comfort, like walking into a safe room where nothing can hurt us. We think it should feel soothing and steady from the very start, but real, genuine destiny almost never starts that way. What actually arrives first isn't peace. It's something more powerful than that. It's recognition. You meet someone and something inside you responds instantly before your thinking mind can catch up. It's not necessarily calm, it's not necessarily comfortable. You might not feel secure with them at all, and you definitely might not feel sure about what they mean to you. Yet somehow you feel truly seen in a way that's deeply unsettling. It's like they're looking past all the versions of you that you show the outside world. They're noticing the parts of you that you keep locked away, even from yourself. This can feel confusing and even threatening because we're conditioned to believe that love should feel gentle and reassuring. But what most people don't realize is that when destiny shows up, it often feels uncomfortable at first. This discomfort doesn't mean you're with the wrong person. Usually, it means the exact opposite. It means they're reflecting back to you parts of yourself you've been running from. They're showing you your unhealed wounds, your deepest fears, and all the emotional work you haven't done yet. They don't see the polished version of you that you present to society. They see deeper, more vulnerable parts of you, and that can feel threatening because you're not used to being seen that way. That's why connections that are destined to happen tend to feel intense and challenging rather than simple and easy. They bring awareness before they bring peace. This is also why most people who are genuinely meant to end up together don't stay together in the beginning. If two people are truly destined to share a life, what usually happens early on is separation. This isn't random or accidental. There are specific reasons why the universe creates this space. One person might still be carrying deep emotional wounds from their past. One might not yet be brave enough to be truly vulnerable. One might not understand their own worth. One might be loving from a place of fear and survival instead of from wholeness and security. Sometimes both people are still incomplete as individuals, and incomplete people, no matter how good their intentions, can cause each other real pain. The distance between them, as painful as it is actually part of the plan. It's not punishment for anything you did. It's preparation for what you're becoming. When people who are destined to be together go through separation, the pain is different from regular heartbreak. It's not just sadness, though, that's part of it. It's confusion. It feels like losing your orientation, like your internal compass got broken. You're not just missing the other person. It's more than that. You feel like something fundamental inside you has been shaken loose. This happens because these types of connections aren't just about physical attraction or chemistry. They're tied to growth and transformation. When someone like this leaves your life, it forces you to turn inward. It pushes you to face things you've been avoiding for years. You start noticing your fear of being left alone. You see how much you depend on other people to make you feel like you matter. You recognize all the ways you've given too much of yourself just to keep someone around. You become aware of how you avoid taking care of your own emotional needs. You start seeing all these things about yourself, and it's uncomfortable in ways that are hard to describe, but this pain isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to wake you up. Something happens inside you when you're connected to someone who's meant to be part of your journey. Even when there's no contact at all, even when there's just silence between you, something shifts. Even when your rational mind is telling you to move forward, even when there's complete radio silence, you begin to change. You become more conscious of who you actually are. You become more thoughtful about what kind of people you let into your space. You start speaking your truth more honestly. You learn how to say what you actually feel instead of what you think you should feel. Things that you used to accept suddenly feel wrong to you. Situations that you tolerated before now drain your energy. People that you used to pursue don't hold the same appeal anymore. You start wanting something deeper than surface-level interactions. You hunger for authentic connection instead of settling for temporary closeness. You often don't even realize that this whole transformation is happening because of that one person. But it is. They lit a spark inside you. They started something in you that can't be stopped. This type of bond doesn't make you obsessive. It makes you reflective. You're not spending every waking hour thinking about them. Instead, you're thinking about your own life, the patterns you keep repeating, the decisions you've made. You're examining who you are and who you want to become. You start asking yourself questions you never thought to ask. Why do I love the way that I do? What am I actually afraid of when it comes to being close to someone? Why do I keep accepting less than I deserve? Why do I ignore my own needs while trying to satisfy everyone else's? Why do I fall into the same relationship patterns over and over? These questions transform you slowly but powerfully. They reshape who you are at your core. When a connection is meant to be, it works in ways that aren't obvious on the surface. Even if this person disappears from your daily life, their impact stays. They change how you think about what love really means. They change how you see yourself. They raise your standards not just for how other people treat you, but for how you treat yourself. They teach you something essential, that love isn't just about being in the same physical space as someone else. It's about becoming whole and complete in yourself. This growth feels natural even though it started from pain, and that's how you know the connection was real and meaningful. Real destined love isn't loud or obvious. It doesn't always stick around. Sometimes it enters your world, changes you fundamentally, and then leaves. Sometimes it leaves so that you can become the version of yourself that's actually capable of sustaining real, mature love. Whether the person comes back or not isn't always the main point. What mattered was the transformation that happened, the awakening, the shift toward a more conscious way of living and loving. When two people who are truly meant for each other have a story together, it doesn't go in a straight line. There are detours and delays. There are miscommunications and times when you're separated. There are moments when everything feels impossible. There are moments when both of you question whether what you felt was even real. There are moments when outside circumstances seem stronger than the connection itself. Yet underneath all of that, something is always working. Growth is happening. Learning is happening. Your awareness is expanding. Even during the quiet times when you're not communicating, life is working on both of you, shaping you into who you need to become. That's why some connections make such a deep and lasting impression. It's not because the relationship was perfect. It's because something fundamental shifted inside you because of that person. They showed you strength you didn't know you had. They exposed wounds you hadn't healed yet. They revealed patterns in yourself that needed to change. They pushed you to be more genuine and real. They dared you to stop hiding from the truth about yourself. A lot of people think the whole point of destiny is to find the right person, but the truth is that destiny is just as much about becoming the right person. The connection works like a mirror. It shows you everything about yourself that needs attention. It displays both your light and your shadow. It reveals your capacity for love and also your fear of it. It shows you your bravery and your insecurity. It uncovers your dreams and your limitations. This entire process isn't always comfortable or pleasant. It can actually be quite painful. Growth usually is uncomfortable. But discomfort doesn't mean something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is a sign that something important is transforming. Sometimes the connections that challenge you the most end up being the ones that teach you the most. And sometimes the people who really shake up your life are actually the ones helping you understand it more deeply. The deepest connections aren't the easiest to navigate. They ask more from you. They ask for real honesty. They ask you to take responsibility for yourself. They ask you to grow. They ask you to let go of old versions of yourself that you've outgrown. That's why they feel so powerful. Not because they make you complete, but because they inspire you to become more complete within yourself. After enough time passes, you might realize that the real gift of that connection was never the relationship itself. It was who you became because of it. It was the strength you built, the understanding you gained, the ability to set boundaries and actually honor them, the self-respect you finally claimed, the emotional wisdom you developed, the clarity you found about what love actually is. Real connection isn't just about how attracted you are to someone. It's not just about chemistry or perfect timing. It's about growth and taking responsibility for yourself and each other. It's about healing and making conscious choices. And that's exactly why destined connections leave such a powerful mark on people's lives. They awaken something in you. They change something fundamental. They shift something important inside you. They help move you toward who you were always meant to become. Whether the story brings you back to that person or leads you toward a completely different life, the transformation remains. And sometimes that transformation is actually the entire point all along. It comes through distance and confusion and hard inner work. It requires growth before reunion is possible. And that pattern, happening again and again, is the one thing that shows up almost consistently. You think about them during times when you're becoming more aware of yourself, when you're quietly changing from deep inside, on nights when everything else is quiet and your thoughts are louder than the whole world. You think of them. You think of them when you have emotional insights that hit you out of nowhere, moments when you suddenly understand something about yourself that you've never seen before. But you're not thinking about them because you're lonely. You're not thinking about them because you need someone to make you feel valued or important. You think of them because something deep inside you knows that what you shared had meaning and that meaning isn't finished working on you yet. Your innermost self recognizes that there are lessons still being learned. It knows that something important was awakened through that connection. This isn't weakness. This isn't obsession. This isn't attachment the way people usually talk about it. This is integration. It's your inner world trying to put an experience in its rightful place, trying to take in what it taught you and understand how it changed you. A destined connection doesn't just vanish because time passes. It keeps showing up in subtle ways. It reappears when you grow. It comes back when you heal. It surfaces when you step into newer, more evolved versions of yourself. That's because what you shared was never only about romance. It was about transformation. A lot of people ask why this kind of connection can't just be replaced with someone else. They try. They meet someone new. They start relationships. They distract themselves with people and activities and daily routines. They tell themselves that moving forward means erasing what happened. And sometimes they even think they've managed it. Life starts looking normal again. They laugh. They do social things. They continue living. But underneath, something still feels incomplete. There's a quiet ache that won't disappear. Not because the new person is bad, not because effort isn't being put in. It exists because what you shared with the other person awakened something that hasn't been awakened by anyone else. It doesn't test the same parts of your soul. A destined connection doesn't compete with other relationships. It exists on a completely different plane. This kind of bond isn't built on attraction alone. It's not only about excitement or chemistry. It's not about comfort or familiarity. It's about becoming more real and honest with yourself. It's about being forced to look at parts of you that you may have ignored or denied for a long time. Life works on both people individually before it brings them together again, if that's what's meant to happen. Distance isn't a punishment. It's a classroom. While the two of you are separated, life is teaching each of you different things, often through discomfort and difficulty. One person is learning about boundaries. They're learning how to say no without feeling guilty. They're learning that love doesn't mean giving until you have nothing left. They're discovering that choosing yourself is never selfish. It's necessary. The other person is learning accountability. They're learning that what you don't say can still hurt someone. They're learning that running away from difficult emotions doesn't make them disappear. They're learning that your actions have consequences even when your intentions were good. They're discovering that real connection requires you to take responsibility. One person learns self-respect. They stop accepting uncertainty as proof that they're loved. They stop waiting endlessly for clarity that never comes. They understand that consistency actually matters. The other learns emotional courage. They learn how to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. They learn how to face vulnerability instead of running from it. One person learns how to stop pursuing. They understand that love can't be forced. They recognize that chasing someone who isn't ready only creates hurt and imbalance. The other learns how to stop running. They discover that creating distance doesn't shield them from pain. It only delays growth. Both people are changing, yet neither can see the whole picture. This is intentional. If they could see everything that was coming, the growth would stop. The unknown is what creates the space where real transformation can happen. Before people who are meant to be together can come back together, false beliefs have to crumble. The universe removes mistaken ideas slowly and often through pain. Ideas like love should never be hard. Ideas like if someone truly loved me, they would never leave. Ideas like you have to suffer to deserve love. Ideas like another person is supposed to complete you. These might feel comforting, but they actually damage genuine connection. They create dependence. They create fear. They create unrealistic expectations that no real human being can meet. So life gradually breaks them down. This doesn't happen gently. It happens through quiet. It happens through separation. It happens through disappointment. It happens in moments when you're alone with your own thoughts and there's nowhere to hide. You start seeing yourself more truthfully. You begin recognizing your patterns. You start understanding where you lost yourself in your past. You learn that love isn't supposed to rescue you. You learn that another person can't fill the empty spaces inside you that you haven't healed. You learn that real connection begins when both people are already whole. Then eventually there's a moment when something inside shifts. You stop needing them to come back. You stop looking for signs. You stop waiting for a message that you believe will change everything. You stop hoping they'll return so you can finally feel complete. And that moment isn't sad or angry. It's peaceful. This is when destiny can move forward again. Not because you tried harder, but because you released your grip on how you thought things should happen. Real love isn't dependence, it's choice. When both people can stand alone and be okay, love becomes something you want rather than something you need to survive. That's when real alignment becomes possible. If they come back different. They come back with more awareness. They come back more mature. They're capable of something deeper and more real than what was possible before. When people who are truly meant for each other come back into each other's lives, something feels subtly different. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't need to grab attention. Instead, what you notice is steadiness. Your body can finally relax before your mind figures out why. There's less worry in your thoughts. There's far less fear about what could go wrong. There's significantly less ego pushing to prove something or protect itself. You're not putting on a show or defending yourself the way you used to. What takes its place is truth. The kind of honesty that feels natural and easy. The kind that doesn't need explanations or justifications. The connection feels calmer because both people have already walked through their own chaos. It feels deeper because they've both looked inside themselves and faced their own darkness. It feels clearer because the illusions have already been broken down. It's not perfect, and it never claims to be, but it's awake and aware. Both people know that love by itself isn't enough. It has to be built on maturity and responsibility and honest conversation and trust and consistent action. The fantasy is gone. What's left is something far more valuable. Something that's actually real. Something that's awake and honest. Something built on what's actually true rather than what you wish was true. That's why reunions that are genuinely meant to happen often feel surprisingly calm. The intensity that once confused you is replaced with real understanding. The fear that once created distance is replaced with openness. The uncertainty that once took over the connection is replaced with knowing what's real. Neither person is trying to save the other anymore. They're simply choosing each other because they're both complete within themselves, and that changes absolutely everything. The strongest connections aren't the ones that just survive difficulty. They're the ones that survive being transformed. They're the ones that allow both people to grow and evolve and come back with deeper knowledge of who they are and who the other person is. Here's the hidden truth about destined love. It's not about finding someone who makes all the difficult parts of your life disappear. It's about meeting someone whose presence becomes a catalyst for your growth, someone who pushes you to change, someone who helps bring to life parts of you that were dormant and waiting. Whether they stay in your life forever, leave, come back, or move on, what they contributed is still significant. Because sometimes the greatest gift of destined connection isn't the relationship itself, it's who you become because of it. When people who are truly meant for each other come back together, there's an awareness in the way they talk to each other, in how they handle silence, in how they respect each other's limits. There's no manipulation or hidden agendas. There's no need to test whether the other person cares. There's no uncertainty about where you stand. There's just recognition, like you're remembering something you always knew, except this time you're bringing maturity and wisdom and inner strength with you. And yet, even with all of this, those two people sometimes don't find their way back to each other. This is one of the hardest truths to come to terms with. But the destiny between them was still real. What you shared wasn't imaginary. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't time lost. Not every destined connection is meant to exist forever. Some are meant to exist just long enough to change you. Some are meant to show up, shake your inner world, and then step back once they've done what they came to do. Some connections enter your life to break patterns that have been passed down through your family. These are the relationships that expose habits you learned before you could even choose. They reveal where you learned to confuse love with sacrifice. They show you where you mistook attachment for safety. They show you where you thought silence was peace. They make you see what you've been carrying that never belonged to you. They bring old pain to the surface so it can finally heal instead of just repeat. Other connections show up to teach you how to love yourself when you've been treating yourself poorly. They reflect back the things you're willing to tolerate. Through them, you see where you make yourself small, where you accept less than you deserve, where you silence your own needs just to keep someone around. They help you understand that love should never cost you your dignity or your voice or your sense of who you are. These lessons can be hard, but they're necessary. Without them, you might have continued giving so much while asking for so little. Some destined people awaken emotional capacity inside you. They make you feel things you've locked away for a long time. They remind you that you're capable of deep care and real vulnerability and genuine closeness. Even if they leave you more open than you were before. Others change the entire direction of your life. Meeting them transforms the choices you make, the standards you hold yourself to, and the path you walk. They don't stay because their role was never meant to be permanent. Their job was to get you ready for what comes after. And that doesn't make the connection meaningless. It makes it sacred. Sacred doesn't always mean permanent. It means valuable because of what it awakened inside you, not because of how long it lasted. Many people ask why destiny seems so difficult before it ever seems gentle, why it takes things away before it gives anything back. The truth is that destiny isn't designed to protect your comfort. Comfort often keeps you trapped in patterns that are hurting you. Destiny exists to protect what you could become. It will let your heart break before it allows your spirit to slowly fade away. It will remove people from your life before it allows you to disappear trying to hold on to them. In the moment, this can feel cruel. You replay everything that happened. You question whether you're worth anything. You wonder what you could have done differently. You feel betrayed by something you believed in. But with time, pain reveals what words can't. With distance, you start to see that staying would have locked you into an earlier version of yourself. You begin to understand that losing them forced you to grow in ways you'd been avoiding. There's one thing that keeps showing up in destined connections. When two people are truly meant for each other, they often have to grow separately first. They're separated so that illusions can dissolve. They're stripped of fairy tales about love and about each other and about who they are. They're confronted with their wounds and their fears and the unhealthy ways they operate and how they avoid being responsible for their own healing. This time apart is not punishment. It is preparation. It is not punishment for your past mistakes or for loving too hard or not hard enough. It is a sacred pause, a space that life creates where the universe quietly reshapes you. During this time, each person is being refined like metal in a furnace. You are becoming a more authentic and healthier version of yourself. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Here you learn things that cannot be rushed or borrowed or skipped over. You learn what boundaries actually are, not walls to keep people away, but lines that protect your energy and honor who you are. You learn what self-respect actually is, not something that depends on anyone validating you, but something that comes from deep inside as you understand who you actually are. You learn how to love deeply and passionately and truly without losing yourself in the process. You learn that having someone choose you means almost nothing if you haven't first chosen yourself. You learn that your wholeness can't come from someone else accepting you. It has to grow from within. Only after this inner work gets going does destiny start showing what happens next. Sometimes that path leads back to reunion, where both people come back together with clear hearts and stronger foundations than before. Sometimes it leads somewhere else, guiding each of you towards someone or something else that fits your growth more naturally.